Last player that I want to talk about before we get out of here is Bo Nix. Oh, going back to the Bucs game. Wow, look at these homers. No, but really, I want to point out Bo Nix because I thought he had a fantastic day. Now, we talked in the review show on Monday, myself and Dalton, about how Evan Winters from A to Z Sports pointed out just how much Sean Payton has Todd Bowles' number. He is 7-0 against Todd Bowles in the regular season and has basically just cooked them every single time that they've gone up against each other, whether it was Sean Payton's time with the Saints or now with the Broncos. And so obviously Bo Nix playing with a lot of confidence. I think Sean Payton having confidence going up against Todd Bowles goes into this, but Nix played well, man. I thought that this was a very, very solid game for Bo Nix. 2 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play, a 78.1 adjusted completion percentage. 0 sacks taken despite 6 pressures, which I loved from Nix because I feel like, we talk all the time about our sacks, an offensive line stat. Are they a quarterback stat? I definitely feel like it could be both. It's situational, but to have 6 pressures and 0 sacks on the day, I feel like a panicking Bo Nix would not have had that number be 0. So he was operating very confidently, I think, from the jump. That first drive, he saw the Bucs were in press coverage, cover 1, and he had an immediate throw for it. He threw it right over the top of Zion McCollum for a big gain, and it was a throw that, it was a challenging throw where I remember watching it from the end zone angle. Nix hikes the football. He notices that it's in cover 1, so there's only one single high safety in the middle of the field. The corners are up there in press, and he hikes the ball, and he stares at the safety. I can't remember who was playing safety in the middle of the field for this play, but he stares at the safety. He even glances a little bit to the left just to hold the safety for a second. Then he immediately turns back to the right. Boom, over the top. Beautiful breadbasket throw. That's a good one there. And then the next drive, when the Bucs went, the press man coverage thing didn't really work on that first drive. Let's switch it up. Well, then they were playing off coverage cover 3 looks, and Nix was just taking them underneath. Like, he knew exactly where to go. He was very confident with it. I was also very encouraged with how he was using his mobility, which is a big selling point of his during his scouting report, is how it was underrated, how well he was able to move. He could escape the pocket. He obviously had the rushing touchdown, which was big for them. And I thought that he was pretty good throwing on the run in this game too. So it was a great building block game for Bo Nix, who really struggled, I think, through the first 2 weeks of the season. It was nice to see him have a confident game where you could tell he's able to sort of put those struggles from week 1 and week 2 behind him and allow him to put his best foot forward. That's a confident quarterback, somebody who is confident in their own abilities. And that is good to see because you figured it would be a struggle in year 1 for Bo Nix in this Denver Broncos offense. But as long as he doesn't get too down on himself and really doubt himself, you can still see good performances like we saw against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, lots of questions still to answer, I think. But if you're looking for encouraging stuff, the fact that he put the ball down the field, I think, was just something people in general were like, this is one of the worst downfield passes we've seen. And I don't mean downfield like 20-plus air yards. I mean like 10-plus air yards. Like,
right.
That's how bad the numbers had been going into this game. And definitely most of this stuff was still underneath, still very uncontested, open stuff underneath, getting the ball out. But I did think that there was definite improvement. He hit the throws that he made down the field. He showed a willingness to go there with the football, which I think was encouraging. The athleticism, too. That's just a really big part of his game. He is a very good athlete. Got away from Anthony Nelson on that sack and made a scramble play happen. I think he's a really good athlete. I think he's okay playing out of structure and being creative. To me, that raises the ceiling for what a quarterback can be when they're capable of being that way. So those were like the encouraging, like I'm buying into the upside things. The things we didn't really learn in this game, he's still like the intermediate area of the field is just like completely off limits to him. Like he just doesn't throw there at all. Like he doesn't look there at all. He is so quick to go underneath. And the Bucs were happy to oblige him in this game. One of the worst defensive schemes and response to what a player likes to do that we've seen. And this is the criticism with Bowles and why we always come back to it, is just like with Jared Goff stuff we talked about, like, oh, they did this stuff so well. Great game plan against Jared Goff. Thing is that they just do what they do as the Bucs, and Sean Payton banks on that. And so knowing that the Bucs are going to spend 60+% of this game in cover 3 and quarters defense, and you're going to have everything that Bo Nix wants, right? The left and right flat are available. Let it fly. Like, I will go underneath all day.
Right.
And so he just went underneath. And because the Bucs couldn't create the negative plays, right? I think he had 2 turnover-worthy plays in this game. I don't think they didn't pick off either. No, the Bucs didn't have any turnovers off him in this game. I think those things, the fact that the Bucs had no pressures, no sacks in this game, Bulls defense relies on getting those things. So they've got to catch those picks. They've got to get a sack. They've got to get pressure. They couldn't get pressure all game on him. He had just 10 dropbacks where he was under pressure out of the 40 dropbacks in this game. He wasn't very good on those dropbacks as a passer, but they let him also get out of the pocket and scramble in a couple of those situations, which hurt them. And so the Bucs really did everything you could to give the blueprint for how this current version of Bo Nix wins games. And then he hit the 2 balls down the field, I think, which were big, and he didn't make the mistakes. I mean, he did have a couple of plays where he put the ball in harm's way, but he wasn't hurt on any of the mistakes. He didn't take sacks. So that was big in this game too. And I wrote that as one of my positives for him last week. Even though the game against Pittsburgh was so rough, he didn't take a lot of bad sacks, I felt like, despite the fact that he was under pressure some in that game. So there are definitely traits to hang your hat on with Bo Nix. The Bucs made it simpler for him than other teams probably will in this game.
Right.
But I think you're still banking on the fact that the arm looks fine, the physical tools look fine, athletically looks good. Like, those are all the things. The building blocks do seem to actually be there and not be a figment of Sean Payton's imagination. The question is whether everything else can come together.
Yeah, he didn't have to do the hard stuff to get to the easy stuff, right? The Bucs just presented him the easy stuff. And so I don't think it will be that easy for him moving forward, but I do think that this is certainly his best game. You mentioned, I think he's navigating the pocket decently well. He's not taking a lot of unnecessary sacks. And it's just little building block stuff, right? I mean, young quarterbacks, especially when you throw them out there right away, you've just got to be able to see the little building blocks. It's going to take time. It could take seasons for these players. And Nix is somebody who I just hope the confidence stays up, because I think certainly towards we get to the second half of the season, I hope that he is the best version of what he has been in that year, and he's able to attack the middle of the field a little bit more, able to attack deep down the field a little bit more, because I think he brings a lot of fun things to the game of football, especially when you throw in the mobility. But he's got to be able to attack the hard stuff again, like make the big boy NFL throws in order to get to more of that easy stuff.